Hi, this is Verl Workman. Welcome to the Faces of Real Estate, CEO of Workman Success Systems. Faces of Real Estate is a program designed to highlight those in the marketplace who make a difference, who give back, who are blessed by being in this great business of real estate and have decided that they want to take what they've been blessed with and share it with others. It's a tremendous honor for me to have the great Nate Martinez with us here today. Nate owns RE/MAX franchise in Glendale, Arizona, actually a couple of different locations, and has a tremendous business, but more importantly, has a tremendous heart. Nate, welcome, and thank you for being part of the program today.
Well, thank you, Verl. I'm hopefully I can share some ideas to help people grow in their contribution to the world.
I loved at the beginning of the video, you said, it's kind of getting hot in here. You do live in Arizona.
It is. It's, it's cooling down, though. We're going to have a cool weekend. It's going to be in the 90s. So
drop down below 100, it's a win.
Yeah, dropping down between under 110 because we've already had 3 or 4 days over 110.
Well, that's awesome. So as we get started here today, just give us a little snapshot of your business.
Oh, well, I've been in business now for 34 years. Started as an individual agent like we all do. Got a team, got probably 4 or 5 years into the business, and opened up our first RE/MAX franchise on September 11th, 2001. Not a great day to open up any business, but it's grown. We've had as many as 6 offices at one time, and we're basically at 3 offices in a team satellite office. So I think we found our sweet spot.
Yeah, it's awesome to be in business and be in all aspects of it, not just the brokerage side, but the team side. And I mean, you see all sides of the business. Gives you a different perspective. Tell me a little bit about the family. You've got some of the family in the business with you too.
Yeah, so my daughter Brandy is probably the longest person on the team that has been licensed after she graduated in hotel and restaurant management. She just came back and joined the team. Then later on, Tanya and I met on an open house, and even though we've been together over 15 years, it took me 2 or 3 years to recruit her over to RE/MAX. And then my son joined us during the REO craze, and he has a new addition. He's a brand new daddy, so we have kind of quasi Nate the Third.
Not quasi, he's actually Nathan the Third.
Well, he's Nathan, yeah, but we all have different middle names, But so that's pretty much my immediate family. My stepson Brendan is serving our country right now, and we're just having a good time. Everybody's healthy, and we're optimistic. It's been a crazy world, 2020, but everybody's healthy and moving in the right direction. I do also have a granddaughter, Hayden, that's 12, and then my little Mila, I can't forget her. She's 10 years old. So,
yeah, you have your kids as they get older are all going to be really confused. Who's the aunt? Who's the sister?
It's already happening.
I love your family. I think it's such an awesome family. And your grandson who's serving, make sure you let him know that we appreciate his, or your stepson who's serving, make sure that he knows that we support him and that we love him and we appreciate his service.
Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about your community. Where, Phoenix is a huge area. Do you sell all over Phoenix?
Yeah, pretty much. I was born in Phoenix. I've lived in Glendale and Peoria. Those are the only 3 cities I've ever lived in. Glendale, Peoria, suburbs of Phoenix. I'm one of the few people that have been here for 60 years, and I've never moved away, never went away to school. I've lived pretty much 12 months a year for 60 years right here. We serve, our offices are in Phoenix, Glendale, Avondale, and Surprise, 4 different cities. And, but we pretty much, over the years, when I was a beginning realtor some 30 years ago, it wasn't very hard to service any part of the valley because you can get there very quick. But
right.
Today, Phoenix is the 5th largest metropolitan area in the country. And to get from like North Peoria to South Chandler is probably an hour and a half in traffic, maybe an hour if you're lucky, on a Sunday morning,
It's only like 15 or 20 miles. It's not that far.
It's not more than that's probably about 30 miles. Yeah. 30, 40 miles. Yeah. But it's all freeway, but it does take a while to get there.
It allows you to specialize. I was thinking about you, and when I was looking through the pre-interview questions about your giving and the things that you do, I'm curious about your background. Did you grow up with privilege? Did you grow up in an area where you were always giving back?
No, we grew up poor, I guess is the right word, right? I did not have a father. My mom worked to put food on the table, so I was kind of a latchkey kid growing up. There was nobody at home to supervise me and or mentor me or anything along those lines. I did probably get my work ethic from my mom because she was working, right? But I think growing up in the inner city, if you will, taught me a lot, right? It taught me about what that side of the tracks is like, right? And my goal back then was to get on the other side of the tracks, right? It was to get more than what I had. I think growing up, we didn't have much. My mom was a homeowner, and she worked real hard to maintain that home. And the concept of trying to better myself, it's kind of like what we teach, and everything anymore. It's who you hang around with is who you become. Well, who I hung around with were probably guys just like me that get, too much time in their hands, opportunities to get in trouble. Unfortunately, a lot of friends that I knew back in high school went off to prison. Some were murdered. I was smart enough at the age of 17 to get out of the neighborhood. Couldn't go too far based on financial limits, but I got my first apartment, went to college, bought my first house before my 18th birthday, and just started working my way out. When my daughter was born several years later, I was in my early 20s, and she started growing up. We were still in pretty rough area. It was kind of my goal that I didn't want her to go to school in that area. Nothing wrong with it other than I wanted, as every parent does, they want a little bit more for their family than you had. So we moved to Glendale when she was little, and then we just kind of grew from there,
It's an interesting story, and it's fascinating. I'm curious now about the transition. So as you were wanting to create a better life for yourself and then a better life for your family, what caused you to think outside of your family and start thinking about the community or giving back? Was there a trigger or something that happened that made you go, you know what, I see something I need to change?
Well, it's probably learned. Like, we're somebody's going to listen to these type of interviews and maybe get inspired. So I probably got inspired somewhere back on where people were doing something in the community. For me, it started very easily and meager, right? It was like my son was playing T-ball or Little League or whatever it was, and I sponsored the team, and I had the shirts with my logo on it. And that just became a progression as he was growing up, as he played sports, that I was always going to be the guy to sponsor the team and be visible. That went into to travel baseball. We traveled all over the United States, and I became the team manager. I didn't have the baseball skills and the coaching skills, but I had a little bit of business skills. And we had these kids, we had flying them to tournaments. We were doing golf tournaments and raising money. And I think our golf tournament every year would produce about $25,000 that we would use to fund the kids. And some of the parents that were on the team didn't really have the money, but their kid had a gift of and loved the game of baseball. So we would help, fly people here and there, or rent buses to go up to Vegas, or we'd all caravan over to California. But there was one year we did over 150 baseball games and travel, right?
Wow.
When he got to high school, he came home one day and he goes, "Hey, all the parents are going to pitch in to get a new scoreboard or a time clock for the football field." And I was the only one that said yes. So I bought the board, right? And but that parlayed into, sponsorships, and my name was, so those were paid kind of advertisements. A lot of the stuff. When I joined Remax in 2000, about 29 years ago, right? And it was 1990. That's why I was struggling. It was back in the 19s, right? I was brand new to Remax, and I did get the message. It was the first year that Remax had signed a contract with the Children's Miracle Network. And I remember Marie Osmond was involved. She was one of the creators. And the message, and just loving kids, right? We all love kids and they're our future. It was just something that stuck with me. And it was easy to give in that model because it was like I was an agent. And so for the last 30 years almost, I've donated on every transaction I've ever had, a small portion to the Children's Hospital. That was easy giving. And then I got around a group of guys, and that sprung into a lot of things. You know, we became like ambassadors for the Children's Miracle Network in Phoenix. Before I was an owner, I started a golf tournament for the Children's Hospital, and we'd raise money. And for me, it was just something that I felt I needed to do. It wasn't other than to just pull me, right? So you go down and you go to the Children's Hospital, and you get to go on these tours, and you can see the challenges that families have with these little babies. And my business partner, Frank Russo, when his daughter was born, his wedding ring went all the way up her arm because she was weighed in grams, not pounds. And she was a miracle baby. And today she posted on Facebook this week that she has 6 deals in escrow, her biggest week ever, you know, so that was pretty cool. And
great.
Yeah, it really is, you know, and then even my son Nate had a little surgery at the Children's Hospital when he was in high school. And so it's always been, you know, kids are just important, right? So, but we started parlaying that thing into golf tournaments. We did motorcycle rides. If you ever had the chance to watch those old motorcycle TV shows, Orange County Choppers, those guys were in town, and I created a whole motorcycle ride. And I think you interviewed Sarah. She was on the team and very helpful. And I was looking at pictures of her in that event the other day. But we went from Glendale, Arizona through Phoenix all the way to Tempe, Arizona on a motorcycle ride, police escorted with just hundreds of motorcycles. And we arrived to meet the guys from Orange County Choppers. So it was pretty cool. So we've done all kinds of fun things along the way. And it's interesting that people, I went back and looked at some photos the other day because we were going to have this interview. And I started seeing people in my life that have been longtime givers, right? I've been to their events, and they've been my events. And you start going to different charitable events as you grow up, and you have more disposable money that you're willing to give up. But we've, you know, as of late, you know, the theater, which, you know, my daughter and granddaughter are in theater now. And, you know, they're about the same age. My granddaughter's a couple years older than Mila. I got them involved in a camp at a theater because we would go to the theater, a friend of mine, and we'd buy a table, and we were doing this for a couple of years. And I thought, they have this summer camp. Let's get the girls there, because here's a story I want to share, Merle. I don't know if you've ever heard this. Maybe you have. But when I was 17 years old, I was going to college, to a junior college, and I had a class that was a speech class. And I showed up to the speech class, and I could not turn the knob on the door because it was the day that I had to give a speech in front of like 30 kids, right? It was not a big deal, right? But I couldn't do it. I quit school. And so speaking back then was very, very out, you know, I had no mentors, you know, and nobody was speaking in my family. So I didn't have no model. But I was just frightened and just terrified of it. So when I learned about this camp for the theater, I involved the 2 girls, and they're hooked. And those 2 girls can get on a microphone in front of thousands of people and perform like it's nothing. You know, it's very natural to them. But I think that was a gift that I wish somebody would have gave me when I was a kid. So we've been real involved in the youth theaters now. And each year, you know, my ante goes up, and I got a really good friend that his mother was a major donor. And this guy's like giving $100,000 away a year. You know, he's giving a lot of money. And his goal is to give $1 million to that one organization, you know. So I'm just, you know, every time he has like a 3-on-1 match or something, I'll put some good money towards it. So it kind of pushes him up as well. But the theater, and all these kids, and we had a girl that was in one of the plays, I think that Mila was in, and she was probably 14 or 15 when we met her. But her parents kind of abandoned her. You know, they were challenged, let's say, with drugs or alcohol, whatever it might have been, and they were separated. But the grandparents were raising this girl. And we took her home a few times, and it was a pretty rough trailer park. And, you know, it was like, wow, you know. And we just got fond of her. One of the big charity events we were at, she told the story how theater, if it wasn't for theater, she would have already taken her life. There was a few times that she was going to take her life, but and she has no money to be there. But that's just where, when you hear stories like that, you just all in. What can I do to help, and how can you give more to help people? Because people need help out there, right? Not everybody is as fortunate as we are. And I think with everything that's given, we have to be very respectful and be able to give back into our communities.
Yeah, I love that. I love the specific stories of making a difference in the lives of an individual, a young girl who has theater to go back on. I think, I have a daughter that's heavily involved in theater, and she's a singer and dancer and just loves that environment. And a lot of the kids that get attracted to that are different because they're artsy. They have different skills, different passions, and they're not necessarily, the in-group of kids at school. And it's been interesting to embrace them and to put our arms around them and let them know they're loved as they go on to different areas in their lives. But having a focus to make a difference, as opposed to just hoping that good things happen to these kids, makes a big impact. Now, you talked about something as simple as I say simple, but I've never done one, a motorcycle ride. Tell me about how do you organize a motorcycle ride? How do you raise money with it? And give me an example of what you've done. Give me an example of one of those.
It was just an idea. We've been on different motorcycle rides back when I was riding Harleys, and they were always fun because, you kind of act like the Hell's Angels for a day, right? You kind of own the road. But so what we did is just came up with the idea, and we got a committee of people together to help. And we went to the local Harley dealership, which is called Arrowhead Harley, which was in Glendale, and in our community, where I bought my bike. And we got to host it there. And, I think if I remember right, we probably had some live music there, and everybody gathers there. And then there is a charge. I can't remember what it was. We charged, if it was $25 a rider or whatever it was, to just join us and ride in this procession. We got the city of Phoenix. I think it was the city of Phoenix it was ADOT, Arizona Department of Transportation, to escort it. And we took over the freeway. We had like a mile-long line of motorcycles.
Wow.
And to be at the front of that was kind of cool, I got some great, like I said, I was reminiscing of some of these pictures. We all look so much younger and so much thinner. But that's basically it. It was just the concept of getting different people together to help, in different parties, and you can get different sponsors. And we created a T-shirt, right? So when people got there, they got a T-shirt, and on the back of the T-shirt were all the different sponsors. Just like anything out there, there's always going to be your sponsors that you're going to charge $500, $1,000, or whatever to be on the T-shirt and help pay for stuff. Like the dealership, they provided probably the donuts and coffee for everybody arriving in the morning, plus the event. It was great for them because all these motorcycle people came into their facility and they could wander around, look at the new bikes.
Sure.
And then we even had a pastor come out and bless the bikes and bless the ride beforehand. And it was a community event and business. And, people look at bikers. Most people that are bikers today are, doctors and dentists and business owners. They're riding around these machines that are $50,000 to $100,000 in some of these custom bikes, and so it was a real good eclectic group of people, and we raised, I don't remember what we raised at that time, but that was almost probably, 15 years ago, maybe a little bit longer. But just the concept of finding ways, as I was kind of going through memory lane and all the things we've done, I was thinking, God, we should start that golf tournament back up. It was an annual golf tournament that I did for several years. And then again, it was before I had ownership in Remax. I turned it over to another person that he loved it for a while. And then it just kind of stopped, so they're difficult, right? Our silent auction was probably the easiest. Doing the silent auction, we've done that, I think now 2 years in a row. And we get all our vendors and different businesses to donate different things, and we bring in the live auctioneer, and we have a local restaurant bar, if you will, in Glendale that opens their door to us and gives us the food people are on their own dime for alcohol if they choose to have alcohol, but everything's covered there, and it's just a wonderful evening. We always have every year we have a family, and I think that's one of the best things is to get to know a family. So we have a family that is always introduced to us from the Phoenix Children's Hospital. That's kind of our ambassador for the year, right? And RE/MAX does that on a whole. For every state has one, and nationally they always have one at the convention. And but to get to know a family that's gone through the struggles. The family last time can't remember his illness, and he's fine now. But the lady actually had his handprint tattooed on her shoulder in the shape of kind of like a logo. And it was really, it's touching. You know, there's a lot of touching moments when you're helping people that need help.
Yeah, I love that. I don't think that there's any substitute for it. And the more that we can see the lives that get touched by our generosity, the more it makes us want to give. So Nate, quick question for you is what do you tell someone, you know, when we started, before we even turned the recording on, you said, I want to help people who are just getting started in the business, start the right way by giving. What do you tell these people? How do you,
I think find out what's passionate to you, right? And what's going on. If you're a parent, you know, what are your kids doing, right? If they're playing soccer, sponsor the soccer team, you know, sponsor the food, the water bottles, whatever. Again, that might be a little marketing, but it's, you know, today to give without marketing it is, I find a lot more fulfillment, you know, when you know you're helping people. I think just to get started, it's just a matter of giving to organizations, you know, if it's Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts. Writing a check is one thing, but being involved in the events is another thing, right? I mean, it's easy to write a check, right? You don't even know if it goes to a charity, but when you're involved in some type of fundraisers or even just like, you know, the kids, you know, knocking on your door, they're selling something for their school or their church or their, you know, their Cub Scout pack. I like to give to those things. So I think starting small, and then I think you'll find a passion within yourself. You'll find a calling to do more, you know, and then you meet guys like Anthony and you understand what he's doing. Wow. How do you get to that level? And, but you know, what's funny is over time, Burl, things add up, you know, like our office has raised over $500,000 for the Children's Hospital. It's a very proud, I feel good about that. You know, yeah. It's, and that's the only one that we have a tally on. And, you know, they told us last year, they came into our office at our meeting and made this big deal, but, you know, it makes you feel good that, you know, you're putting money back out into the community. And a lot of the stuff that when we raise money today, even on GoFundMe stuff, you know, there's something that tugs on your heart. You just, you know, you can write a check anonymously, or if you want to put your name towards it. I think just understand whatever you give, you know, you're going to get paid back in some way, you know, just in a great feeling in your heart. You just never know how something will circle back to you. That's not why you give, but there is a benefit, right?
Yeah, there always is. And I think the feeling in your heart is plenty benefit for most people. It's it's seeing the smiles on the face of the children when the family that you served came and is cured or moved forward or made their life easier during their struggle. Mm-hmm. And it humbles me to see all the things it's funny when you talk to people who are givers, it's not usually a new thing. It's a lifetime of who they are. And you certainly have a great legacy of giving in your business and in your family. And I hope it continues. On behalf of Workman Success Systems and all of us at the Faces of Real Estate, Nate, thanks for sharing your story with us. And I wish you continued success as you continue to serve and give back to the people that create such great opportunities for us in real estate. Thank you for being here, my friend.
Well, thank you, Burl. Thank you for allowing me to share this time with everybody. Have a great day.